Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back. We're going to talk about something today that is groundbreaking, revolutionary. It's actually something that's been around for 100 plus years, but it can help heal you in many different ways. And it's called scalar energy. And this guy is the pioneer in it. Tom Paladino is back with us. Hey, Tom, how are you?
I am well. Thanks for the invite.
Great to have you back. And I'm running a few minutes late. And ironically, we talk about, energy and all of it. The reason, and maybe it's ironic in itself here, the reason I'm running late is because there was a power outage and there's the picture of the grid. I don't know if you can see that. And I had to wait for everything to reboot. But yeah, but this is not electric that we're talking about. This
Right.
is a different type of light, a different type of energy. And by the way, we're going to talk about the 15-day free session that can help you heal in just a few minutes. For anybody that hasn't seen past episodes, let's reset.
Okay.
Scalar, what is it?
Let's do that. Scalar energy. I work with something known as scalar energy. It is not electricity, as Steve mentioned. It's the energy from the sun and the stars. That's the easiest way to describe this. Scalar energy powers the sun, it powers the universe. Electricity is an inferior grade of energy. And I have been able to tap into that dimension. It's not a AC electricity. It's quite different.
How did this all come about for you? I know we briefly talked about your background, but what got you to where you are now? Can we rewind a little bit and start from there?
As a youngster, I was reading about Nikola Tesla. Tesla was the first man to harness scalar energy. And what was really peculiar about his instruments, they had no moving parts, there were no wires in the vicinity, and he did not have any access to any power plant. So I took a good look at his tower. It's called Wardenclyffe Tower in Long Island, New York. This is back over 100 years ago. And if you look at that tower very carefully, there's no electrical parts, no wires, no moving parts inside the tower, and there's no immediate power station for him to draw power from. So that should have been a clue into people that this was wireless energy from the universe, meaning what? The Wardenclyffe Tower in Long Island, New York was a free energy tower. We should have followed that model.
So this goes back to you being a kid.
Yeah, it's been
Wow.
my lifelong dream. And it's a big dream, but it's coming to fruition.
Wow. And what's your background overall?
It's really been geared to this arcane science. I call it an arcane science because it's not taught by academia. So I spent years at the undergraduate level trying to understand physics from this viewpoint. Again, it's not electromagnetic physics. So I had to develop my own theories. Essentially, over the past 35 years, I've been on my own. I've been trying to discover the laws that govern scalar energy.
Amazing. And you've demonstrated that previously. Now we've talked about using scalar energy and just, I'll surmise this very, very quickly in that you can take a photograph of somebody which has, call it a digital DNA.
Yes.
They're digital, or I guess digital is the best way, or their energetic imprint on a photo.
Right.
It's amazing. And you can put that into a device and then, and through, it could be thousands of miles away. You could be from the person whose photograph you have, send out energy and healing energy of many different challenges that somebody might be having. And we're going to do a 15-day free trial, tell you how to do this in a little while. But now we're going to pivot to plants, because I never realized that. And that's what you're working with right now.
Yeah. So to segue into that, we can either work with a photograph of a person. Now, what am I getting at? I actually place my photograph inside an instrument. This is one of the scalar energy instruments that I work with. And if you remember, we used to put a cassette tape into a cassette player or a CD-ROM into a CD player. Well, now I can place my photograph into my player, so to speak, into my scalar energy instrument. My instrument will understand my digital DNA, my genetic character, my molecular character, and find me by my force field. Now, remember I said earlier, Tesla developed scalar energy instruments that were wireless. My instrument is wireless. There's no moving parts, and I can extract that energy from the sun and the stars. So this is a new way of power generation without the expensive infrastructure. So what am I getting at? I can broadcast this scalar energy anywhere in the solar system without wires, without any telephone poles, without substations, without step-down transformers, without any need of an induction motor, without low Earth orbiting satellites. This is free energy with the free infrastructure. Now consider that in your career in radio, Steve. Look how expensive the infrastructure is to carry a radio station, to propagate those radio waves. I'm saying all of that is obsolete. You could propagate radio waves with scalar energy without any expensive infrastructure.
Absolutely. Even broadcasting, transmitting, even a radio station, you have the transmitter, which costs thousands and thousands of dollars. You have the antenna, which is on a tower, which costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then you have the electric that you need. We're talking, I'm on a station that's 50,000 watts. That's all involved. I do want to say one thing here, that if I didn't realize the power of energy and the fact that we are all energy, I'm going to say this, I would think you're crazy.
Yeah.
But my game changer here is things like energy healing, Reiki, and chakra balancing. I've had it done, and I've had it done virtually. And what we're talking about here is there could be a Reiki master 1,500 miles away. This happened 1,500 miles away. I did not communicate with this person. We set up an appointment. It was just a text. And she said, 8 o'clock Tuesday night, just be in a comfortable spot. And, I'll get back to you on it. And that's what I did. And she did. And she told me things about me no one else would ever know. Not, super private, but just my Zen, my things that I like to do. She goes, I couldn't understand what it was. And she figured out that I love to kayak. And I felt wonderful after it, days after, lighter, just better. That's energy. That's somebody transferring energy to somebody else,
Yes.
on a smaller scale. You're doing the same exact thing, essentially.
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly, Steve. So what can we do with this energy? Well, I can match up a microbe. Let's say I wanted to find, identify, and eradicate Epstein-Barr. I can match up this virus to my force field, to my digital DNA, so to speak. And by using that scalar energy instrument, it would carry the signal like a radio station into me. I'm the portable radio. I receive the energy, my force field, and Epstein-Barr would be eradicated from me.
Wow.
If you can do that with a radio station, if this is the, so to speak, if this is my radio station, the instrument, and we're broadcasting the signal of Epstein-Barr, and I'm the portable radio, I receive the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That makes sense. That's, if you will, that's the parallel comparison that I can afford.
For sure.
Okay. Now we're gonna go out to the Pacific. I have friends in Hawaii. These are photographs of trees. It's called the ohia tree. The ohia tree is the state tree of Hawaii. Ohia, O-H-I-A. This tree has been undergoing a blight. So my friends from Hawaii send me photographs of the ohia tree. Now, once again, the ohia tree is going to receive the instruction. This is the fungus, it's called ceratocystis, that causes rapid ohia death. So by transferring the energy, the intelligence of ceratocystis, a fungus, into the ohia tree out in the middle of the Pacific, my instrument, working with the free infrastructure of the universe, can send this signal of this fungus into the ohia tree and eradicate the fungus.
Wow. And they've told you that it's been working?
Yes, yes. I've worked with parts of forest now, and the forest was being under siege of this blight. And after I started working with the forest, the blight stopped. There is no more spread of Rapidohuda. The trees have survived. There is no new infection. Now, I want to make this very clear. I can do that with one tree. I'm going to hold this up. I can do that with 100 trees, or I can do that with 1,000,000 trees.
That was going to be my point and question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you first showed that picture of a tree, my first thought was, well, wait a minute. How does the energy know which tree to go to? But then I thought, now hold on a moment. When we talked about humans
Yes.
in that photograph of yourself, but it could be anybody, we all have a energy DNA.
Yeah.
I would assume that that photograph of that tree has the same exact thing. And if it's a grouping of trees, then you would be able to do the same exact thing on a larger scale.
Exactly. So the instrument could work with one photograph. The instrument can work with one ohia tree, or the instrument can work with hundreds or thousands of people, and the instrument can work with hundreds or thousands or millions of trees. Everything that is photographed has a signature. So every person photographed would receive the energy instantaneously, or every tree in Hawaii would receive the energy instantaneously. So some of my friends have sent me drone photographs of Hawaii, and I've been able to treat vast tracts of land through a drone photograph, through an aerial photograph.
Question. What if somebody took a picture of a gathering, let's say at a concert,
Yes.
14,000 people?
You're right. You're right. If everybody's photographed, Steve, in that photograph, some part of their skin, their face is photographed, then those 14,000 people would be treated. You could walk into Met Stadium, Shea Stadium, on a busy Saturday afternoon, and you could take a photograph of 40, 50,000 people, various photographs in the stadium, and provided some part of their skin is photographed, which is their digital DNA or their signature, you could easily treat 40,000 people from a stadium.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Well, I really want to get the permission of people. You know, my website, we have a permission basis. People sign up, and we allow them to send in family photographs, but I haven't gotten to the point yet where I've approached any municipality and say, okay, then your next football game or your next basketball game or baseball game, I'm going to go there and I'm going to take everybody's photographs and treat them with scalar energy. Do I think that's coming? Yes. So save on. I want you to archive this talk today, sir.
Okay.
Because the day is coming. This is prophetic now. I'm just kidding. The day is coming that we will be treating soccer stadiums, football stadiums, baseball stadiums by way of their photograph.
In the mid 80s, there was a song came out by a bunch of top musical artists called Heal the World.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking of, Heal the World. What is the, if any, downside of doing this?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. There's none, and I'll tell you why. I don't work with chemicals. I never have a chemical reaction. I've never seen an allergic reaction. Over the years, I've probably treated close to 100 million people, and nobody's ever reported a Herxheimer reaction, an allergic reaction, any type of untoward energetic shift, because it's not a chemical reaction. I never work with chemicals. I work with light.
And my understanding of energy is that it goes where it needs to go. So
Yes.
it's, your laser beam focused, depending on, I guess, what photographs of, you had Epstein-Barr, could be Lyme disease, whatever it might be.
Right.
The energy is going to go and eradicate or fix that. It's not going to do anything else. And it's not going to make things worse. It's only going to make things better.
Yes, thank you. So to underscore that, there's no human ingenuity here. I literally turn the instrument on, and the instrument does what I tell it to do. To give you a parallel example, when you fly in a plane, you simply sit down. You don't have to exert any power to travel at 500 miles an hour at the elevation of 35,000 feet. No, the plane does that. So my instrument does the work. My instrument finds the trees in Hawaii, the ohia trees, and
Hmm.
it will eradicate the fungus in the trees.
Wow.
In a day, I could easily work with 20, 30, 50 million trees.
If you have a photograph of them.
Exactly.
How long do you think it would take to treat something or someone? Have you ever gotten any kind of feedback, regarding that?
I've had some people who've had, say, bacterial infection of their face, and you can feel that because it's so sensitive. In one day, they tell me they no longer have that burning sensation and that they're no longer in discomfort. And it almost happens sometimes in a flash, meaning what? Once I send energy to that person, we can break down that say Staphylococcus aureus or other types of bacterial infection, and their face, because it's so sensitive, their face goes from hot to being relatively cool.
Wow. One word for you, cancer.
No, I haven't figured it out. I think scalar energy could be used as a tool for cancer, but I I don't know that yet.
Okay. And I would imagine because there's so many different types of cancer that there would be different energetic signatures for it. How would you even, unless you're being very specific, like I have minor skin cancer, but dealing with it for, decades. Um, I guess you'd have to, if you were working with me, it would have to be specific to that. Where like Epstein-Barr, you had the photograph before, just as an example, that's very
Exactly.
specific.
It is. It's very simple with microbes. That's why I say this frequently. Provide a photograph of a microbe, I can easily eradicate it. Now, the human genome with all of its base pairs and all its intricacies, who knows genomic structure? I certainly don't. So how would you correct a cancer cell that is faulty genomic information? You'll have to do that through scalar intelligence. I don't think I'm going to be, it'll be possible for me to do that.
Hmm. So when you put the photographs of the different, like Epstein-Barr, uh, different viruses, things like that, have you loaded up the device, the instrument, with a bunch of different ones?
Yeah, yeah, yes, I have. This instrument can easily work with, say, 5 million people simultaneously. And there's a way that I can take photographs of germs, and then I can photograph the photograph. So I could have a stack of germs on my desk, and I could take one photograph of those germs, microbes, and I could place that one photograph of the stack of germs next to my photograph, and then instantaneously I can download that information into my photograph. So in other words, you don't have to treat for one microbe, one photograph at a time. You can take photographs of the photographs.
Yeah, and you just showed a photograph of, I don't know, 20 people before. I'm
Yep.
thinking the same kind of thing where it's even one 8 by 10 and
Yes.
tiny little squares of
Yes.
Epstein-Barr, Lyme disease, blah, 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 all the way down. You could have, 300 on one right there.
Yes. Yes. Why? Because this energy transcends time and space,
Right.
and you can miniaturize the photographs. So this is really important because I have to show good economies of scale. I can't afford to rebuild Tesla's 150-foot tower in Long Island, New York. I don't have $5-10 million. So everything I do, I try to miniaturize it, keep it to a miniature scale, and it works.
Well, go back to the energy healing Reiki example. You have these. The Reiki master just does this to send the energy,
Right.
and it works. And if anybody's listening, watching, and says, "Come on," well, then answer this question: why has Reiki been around for about, or at least recognized for at least 100 years? And there are tens of thousands practitioners out there healing every single day. They wouldn't be around if it didn't work. It works. And I'm just giving one example of energy transmission in this regard. And I think it's very much what you're doing in terms of energy.
Thank you. You're right. The proof is in the pudding. As you said, some people have healing hands, and this has gone on for millennia. And people can place their hands on you or pray for you. How are you healed? Well, it has to be some type of a flatus. It has to be something that perhaps we don't understand, but still, it's valid. It's very real.
Sure, sure. And it even goes back to, you said, the word prayer. For anybody that's still on the fence on this whole energy thing, when you say to somebody, I'm praying for you, or good vibes for that, surgical procedure, sending good vibes your way, you're sending energy. You're sending positive energy. It's the same exact thing on a different scale. This is scalar energy, which, lack of a better description, is amped up from that. But the same type of principles are being used to get that done, for a positive result. Wow. I didn't know this, this dream goes back to your childhood and Tesla. And I revealed before, I live on Long Island, New York. His tower, everything that we're talking about, is about a 15-minute drive from where I am here. And I've been there, a number of times. They did make a museum in the last few years. I have not been there yet, but Shoreham, New York is where it is. I'm not even kidding. It's like it's around the corner.
It's very much a reality. And over 100 years ago, that was just no hard feelings, just farm country out there. Well,
it was.
Yeah, and how was Tesla able to generate and broadcast scalar energy, what he called radiant energy, without a power plant? He did not need a power plant. The power plant are the stars.
How did he, back then, with no,
exactly
today's technology and all that, how did he pull that off?
How do you do it? It had to come from God. Tesla frequently said he had flashes of light and he could see an invention. So that says there's supernatural power there. He had a supernatural insight, flashes of light.
When he built the Tesla coil, and I need to brush up on my history of this, but for that, where did that energy come from?
Well, you can use a Tesla coil for electromagnetic energy as well as scalar energy. It does amplify, because of its geometry, it does amplify the signal. But you have to ask yourself, who would ever think of wiring something in a coil like that? That likewise had to be from some type of divine inspiration. I want to make this very clear. According to some counts, Tesla had 300 patents, maybe 400 patents, engineered patents. I don't know how he could possibly do that in a lifetime. How could one person be responsible for 300 inventions?
Not to mention the fact that, yes, and not to mention the fact that these principles are still used today. When you turn on your vacuum, there's a coil in there. When anything you do, it goes back to Tesla.
Yes, yeah, exactly. He gave us the modern day age. He
really
gave
did.
us AC, electricity. And by the way, as a final note, he no longer was interested in electricity. Later in his life, he was only working with wireless energy. He called it radiant energy. So he went from electromagnetic energy to radiant energy. Why? He saw that scalar energy, radiant energy, was far superior.
Amazing. All right. On to the 15-day trial of what you're offering.
Yep.
Just go to the website, which is what?
It's scalarlight.com, and look at the website, read our articles, and then if you're comfortable, send us your photograph. We'll work with you for free. There's no obligation. Just email us your photograph, because your photograph has a digital signature, as Steve mentioned. That's all. We do the rest. And then you judge as to how you feel thereafter.
Now, Scalar Light, SCALARLIGHT.com, correct?
Right. Correct. Yes, sir.
And it's all there. You just, minimal information, press the upload button, send a photograph. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. Nothing gets done with the photos. They get destroyed, after the 15 days, and they're used in the instrument. And you're not giving up any information, because I forgot to do it last week. As soon as we end today, I am up. You will see me upload my photograph,
Okay,
and
Steve.
it's the same photograph that's on my Facebook profile. So
Yeah.
it's already public. There's no
Yeah.
worries there. Final question on all this. Somebody uploads, right? Their photograph, minimal information, whatever it might be, email address, whatever.
That's
Um,
it.
how do you decide?
Mhm.
How do you decide what viruses or whatever
Yeah.
you're going to work with?
I treat everybody the same. I have over 400,000 photographs of microbes. Everybody's treated with that 400,000 species of microbes. And then I let the energy adjudicate who has what microbe.
Right. As far as I know, I don't have Epstein-Barr, so the energy is not going to go to me for
Right.
that. But there absolutely will be other things because we all got something going on, or many
Right.
things, right? Fascinating. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. As soon as I turn over to this PC, we'll be uploading to scalarlight.com, SCALARLIGHT.com. What do I have to lose? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it's fascinating. And coming from somebody who recognized energy in terms of healing later in life, I'm all on board. Same thing with Anima Geek. So I see all of this, how this all works. Fascinating. Tom, always a pleasure having you on. And
Likewise.
yeah, it's groundbreaking. It's
It
revolutionary.
is.
Yeah.
This energy is going to change the world. Remember, free energy will liberate mankind. That's my final comment.
Look forward next time we get a chance to talk.
Thank you, sir.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.